Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and in studio with me this evening is a phenomenal woman that I had the pleasure of recently making a connection with across social media lines. She is an author, she's a mother, but most importantly, she's a woman of God, and she's taken time out of her very busy schedule to hang out with us for a little while with the hopes of inspiring, encouraging, and uplifting through the sharing of her story, through the sharing of her personal journey. Again, looking to drop some gems, looking to drop some nuggets to help us to be able to navigate those challenging moments, those times of adversities in our lives that we all find ourselves encountering at some point or another. So it is my privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our special guest this evening. Somebody, of course, is from Chicago, just like myself. So we're gonna shout that out right up front. So without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Charity Dunn. Charity, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. Welcome,
Absolutely.
everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Charity, before we jump into our segments for this evening, I do want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do, kind of give our audience a taste of who is Charity Dunn.
Hi, well, thank you so much for having me. I want to say that it's an honor to be here, but I am Charity Dunn, and I am the author of my new book, A Gift of a Curse. A Gift of a Curse is my testimony, and I used A Gift of a Curse to express all of the pain, all of the struggles. I grew up on Chicago's west side, right off the 290, right off like Kizzy, California, right off by the Harrison and Kizzy police station. And I've been through some stuff right there. Okay. So I wanted to use my pain to empower others and give them hope and inspire them to, dream again because that's important that you don't lose faith on having dreams.
Love that. Love that. And again, so excited for your book. Congratulations on that. And just having the strength and the courage to be, to be open and being transparent and sharing your story as you are doing in the book. And of course, we're going to get a chance to get a little bit of taste of that this evening. So I appreciate once again for you taking the time out to be here because I'm definitely not only excited, but I'm certain that you're about to bless us, not only myself, but my listeners as well. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into things. So there we go. There we go. That's right. Gift of a curse. So Charity, one of the things that that I with all of my guests that come on the show, and when we start talking about our journeys, our stories, I always like to take the opportunity to reflect for a few moments on where the story, where that journey begins, because I really believe that a lot of the things that go on early on in life, is even as far back as childhood, a lot of it has some direct connections to what we ultimately find ourselves in our current day walk, in our path, and our purpose for life. We may not necessarily make all sense of it back, from during that time that we're going through it as in our childhood days. But as time goes on, as we begin to gain more experiences in life, we begin to be able to kind of connect those dots. Why I met certain people, why I went through certain things, and it allows us to be able to again to make sense of it all and understand what was God's ultimate plan, if you will, for our lives and what is it that he wants us to do. So with that said, if you would take us back to the beginnings and share with us what was it like for you growing up, fond memories that you have about growing up, as well as if there's any particular challenges that you care to share, you can do that as well. Kind of give us the foundational basis of where your story begins.
Okay, so do you mind? I just want to give you just a little preview.
Have at it. You got the
Since
floor.
we're gonna go to the beginning, how about we start at chapter one?
Hey,
Are you
there
my
we go.
mother? Okay. Okay. All right. And it really starts off like thoughts to myself echo like such as why me? Why did I have to be so different? Why was this happening to me? Um, this is a question that I constantly ask myself. I was born in a cold world of little to no understanding and little to no answers on April 12th, 1986. Carrie pushed out a beautiful baby girl and named her Charity. Funny how she felt so comfortable telling me after I got older that I was named Charity because I was a charity case. Yet little did she know that God had a different plan. As Mary looked closer, she screamed, "Oh my God, Carrie, how could you do such a thing? This baby isn't Mexican. This baby has black ears. Carrie, your father would never accept this. How am I going to explain this?" So that was just a little bit of the first chapter, how I started this book off. So it's only right I wanted to start the podcast off like that today. And like I was saying when I just read that, that was about me being born to my mother is white, my father is black. My mother was adopted and placed in a foster home. She was adopted from a foster home. So she was given away at birth and she never knew her biological parents. Her newfound adopted parents were racist. Sherry grew up in, Carrie grew up in Proviso West. And I mean, grew up in Westchester and she went to Proviso West where she met a black man, my father. So I came from, I feel like a line of generational curses because when I was born, because they were racist, I had to be adopted. She couldn't raise me. So I grew up
Mm.
with my dad's great aunt, which is that's my mother. I call her my mother. I've been with her since I was 6 weeks old. So I grew up a little confused. Everybody had two titles. Everybody had like this my cousin and my sister, this my auntie and my mama, this my grandma and my auntie. It was like a catastrophe. But Carrie's father ended up dying like a year later after she gave me away. And she started to get high really bad. She was in and out of my life. My dad was in jail. So I grew up feeling unloved, not valuable. I didn't feel like I was important because what mother wouldn't want their child. So it was like a rejection I felt since I was little, abandonment. I remember wanting them, they never came. So I grew up looking for love, I would say, and I think I was lonely because I was the only child. So as I grew up, I was like super sheltered. I only went to church and school and church and school, and then they had me modeling for a little while, and I didn't really ever experience the outside world. They kept me like really sheltered. So when I got a taste of it from walking to school, everything went left because they started to bully me, and I wanted to experiment. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to see what was going on, and they were jumping on me every day. I had to fight like every day just to be around. Walking to school was a struggle. I was getting jumped on. Walking to school, coming home from school. I fought every day. I went to Proviso. I went to a private school at first, and then I ended up in a public school. And then my life just kind of went out of control. But God had a plan because before any of this ever happened, I was prophesied to in the church that these things were about to happen. They didn't name them specifically, but they did tell me that I was about to go through some stuff and that um, God was going to use my pain for power, and that I had an
Mm.
anointing in my hands and I had dreams and visions. And they told me to spin around because that's how many times my life was going to change. And sure enough, my life was like this. I was in and out the prison system. I got stabbed when I was 16 years old. I had my first baby at 18 years old. What else? Mm, I grew up and then I was in and out of jail. I got a lot of cases. Then I ended up getting married. I left an abusive marriage after 9 years. I was married for 9 years. I married my abuser. He was abusing me before that, but I thought that marriage would change things. I thought that things would get better. And they did in certain aspects, but in other aspects, it got worse. And it was felt like I said I do to them to getting beat up every day or every weekend or every whenever he felt like it. So God gave me strength and I found my way out. But it was a time where I didn't think I would make it out. And even as I left, I didn't believe that I was gonna make it out. So I was just acting out as if every day was my last, like because I was fearful. And God gave me peace though. He allowed me to leave. He sent somebody in his life. I had somebody that was like kind of speaking to me, telling me, to value myself, to love myself, to really, let me know that I was special and stuff like that. So we both decided to finally leave. God gave me peace out that situation, and I've been working on my healing journey for 4 years now. It took me 3 years to write A Gift of a Curse, 2 years to write it, a year to publish it. This was my first book. It has been published, self-published by me for a year now.
All right.
February 28th makes 1 year that Gift of a Curse has been out. And I'm currently working on my second book, which is called Healing the Broken Heart, Finding Peace After Trauma, which is going to be like just a roadmap. We're going to go on this healing journey together. So I walk down my life story with you guys, and I want to walk down the healing process with you all up next.
Wow,
Yep.
wow. Well, let me first start off by saying I appreciate your transparency and vulnerability. I mean, just right out the gate, as you're sharing what the upbringing was like for you, that's very powerful in the sense of what you had to go through and how God has sustained you. I mean, like you said, here you are, a child of basically of an interracial couple, and then of course because of those circumstances, right out the gate, you're not accepted, and so here you have to go into an adoptive situation, and so now you're having identity challenges, not feeling loved, not feeling accepted, like you said, asking those questions like how can a mother give up her child, and then you venture off as you're getting into your younger years, and you're starting to deal with bullying, which we know the kind of thing happens, but for somebody who already is questioning being
Oh,
loved, and then you here you are out here, and you got to fight to go to school, you got to fight to come home, and then you fast forward later on in years, and you find what you thought was love, but here you are again, the love is being questioned because I'm being abused now, in the marital situation. And so, to express that pain, to express, those challenges, I think is really important, because the reality is that there are a lot of people who have gone through similar things, and they need to see, somebody like yourself to have been able to go through some very painful, physically, emotionally, mentally challenging times, but to still be here surviving it all, and more importantly, you giving honor and glory to God for seeing you through, to give you the courage, to give you the strength to be able to overcome that. That gives hope to people, particularly any of our listeners who, are in those similar type of situations and not seeing a way out, wondering, can this be my reality? Can this be my ending to this story? Or am I trapped in a situation that looks like it's, insurmountable? It looks like it's not able to be overcome in any type of way. So again, I appreciate you sharing just right out the gate what you shared, because you're already laying the foundation of what strength and endurance and resiliency looks like, but more importantly, connecting that to having that relationship with God. So thank you for sharing what you shared so far. So Charity, as you already know, you clearly you've had some challenges through early on in life, and as you get into adulthood, you start to you live a little bit longer, you get exposed to more experiences, and every now and then some experiences, some of those storms, if you will, are going to be challenging. They're going to be burdensome, and to the degree that again, every now and then we find ourselves facing something that does appear like as if there's no way out of this. I'm feeling helpless. I'm feeling hopeless. I don't feel like this is something that I can buy my way out of, that I can call in a favor to get my way out of. I feel a sense of entrapment, if you will. And so, with that said, tell us specifically about a time where that's exactly where you were at. That was, I'm facing a situation. At that moment in time, I didn't see a way out. I didn't know how I was going to overcome it. By God's grace and mercy, you're here today to even share this story. But maybe back then you had your doubts. Even with you being connected to your faith early on in life, you still had doubts. So if you would, whatever the story is that you're going to share with us, kind of walk us through what that experience was like for you, and what was ultimately the turning point where you began to see some light at the end of the tunnel and actually coming up out of the situation.
um, it's so many of them, but I think I was gonna talk about the marriage because that was the most recent one. But I think I want to go back. Um, there was a time I was stuck in these streets real bad, real heavy, and it was challenging. I was like addicted to the streets. I was addicted to being out here in the streets. I was addicted to doing what I did in the streets, which is drugs, crime, all of the things that's not right to do. And I smoke and drink every day. I was popping ecstasy pills. I was I wasn't living right. I was all over the place. I was around people that didn't like me. I was around people that um fake like they love me, wanted to be there. I mean, I was just it was a time where I was real, real lost. And I just didn't know how. I had no direction, nowhere to go, like really nothing. Like I had finally got to a point where I got my own apartment, and I did have my children, but they was like back and forth to their grandma's house because they liked it. My oldest son, he liked it being with his grandma. So he'll go out there during the summer and he'll come back home with me for school and things like that. Well, if I went in jail, because I've been in jail, I've been arrested over 30 times. I've been to the joint twice. I would spend my sweet 16th birthday in the juvenile. So my criminal history was like unbelievable for a girl of my at my age. So I feel like my life of crime was like a big challenge. I was addicted to the streets, the drugs, the fast life, just all of that. And how I feel like I had to turn myself in. Usually I run. I had been on the run for 2 years. I had just had my second baby. I was trying to change my life, but I know that they were still looking for me. I knew I was still addicted to weed and I still was addicted to liquor. And even though I was working and taking care of home, I still had a problem. So it was like I ended up turning myself in. And when I went in with a mindset that I wanted to change. Like I'm not gonna keep running. I want to go ahead and I want to get clean. I want to get free. I want to go ahead so when I come back out, I could turn my life around and I never return back to that person again because I was a monster. I used to steal cars. I had been stopped doing that, but when I was younger, I stole cars from people. I was selling drugs. I was robbing people. Like I was terrible. Robbing stores. Like I was terrible. Like I didn't take no for an answer. They're like, oh, we don't have a car. We're gonna get there. I'm finna find a car. I got a car. We hungry. I'm gonna go sit down and eat and run up out of there. We don't got nothing to wear. We gonna go steal from the store. We don't got no gas. Back then, you used to come around to the suburbs and fill your take up and come on back this way. I always knew how to make stuff happen. I never just laid down and accepted nothing as my reality because I felt like I had nothing. And at the time, I felt like I did the best I could with what I had. But when I look back, I know I could have did better than that. I ain't gonna make excuses, but I will say that I was dealt a tough hand to deal with at a young age. So I think the light at the tunnel when I went to jail. I got closer to God. I got back closer with God. Because it was a time where I had kind of departed from all that because I was in the streets real heavy. So when I went to jail, I ain't had nobody but him. So I prayed in the spirit every day. I had a dedicated routine that I did every day in jail. 25 squats, 25 sit-ups, prayer in the spirit, and read a scripture every day. And I told God I wanted a husband and I wanted a daughter when I come home, and I didn't want to go back. So I guess the devil hit your prayers too. Because when I came home, it was a man that I had been in love with for years that was beating on me and treating me real bad from 15 years old. So I was about 21. And he was in and out of jail after he did a lot of bad stuff to me. The bad stuff started happening to him. And both of us came home from jail around the same time. And fast forward, he married me after all that embarrassing stuff that he had did and how he tried to assassinate my character and make me out to be the worst person in the world. Like he had people jumping on me, he had people beating on me, he was beating on me. He was just doing a lot of terrible things, leaving me places naked. Like he took me through a lot at a real young age, and he was 8 years older than me. And then I always felt like he loved me. I was like, oh, I'm just not a good person. I thought it was my fault for why he was treating me like that. And I thought that once we got married and I wasn't living like that no more, that things was gonna change. But that was the light of that tunnel. And so I went back
Wow.
into another dark hole.
Okay. So yeah, I want to make sure I'm kind of connected. Well, first of all, again, thank you for your transparency and sharing. I mean, this is like you said, this was you were embracing that street life, and like you said, as you've been open and transparent about it, it was like it was addictive to you on so many different levels. It was just I'm just kind of wilding out. I'm doing whatever. I'm in and out of jail. Then you reach a point in your life where you say, you know what, I'm tired of running. I'm just going to go ahead and turn myself in so I can have an opportunity to reset, to get restored, to get refreshed, and so you have this opportunity where you turn yourself in and you're reestablishing your relationship with God, which is great. Because he's allowing you to begin to see that yes, you do still have worth, that you do still have value, regardless of the mistakes, regardless of the decisions that have been made, that doesn't mean that this is the end of your story. And that's what makes having, for those of you who are tuning in, that's what makes having a relationship with God so beautiful, so awesome, because you can make all of these mistakes, make all of
Re-
these poor decisions, and he never gives up on you. He
Yeah,
still welcomes you with open arms, loving you,
yeah.
still wanting the best for you, still saying to you, hey, you belong to me, Charity. You are mine, and it's going to be all right. Just continue to depend upon me. Just continue to follow my lead, and I can get you up out of this. And so,
Mm.
like you said, I'm on this right track. I'm getting out. I'm getting released from jail. I'm looking at, getting back on my right footing in life. And then you get into a marriage that was, like you said, was unhealthy beforehand, and then it
Mm.
begins another abusive cycle that you end up going through. So with that, now that we're at that point, like after having this reset and then kind of falling back into some of the things of the past, how were you able to overcome that? Entering into an abusive marriage, how were you able to navigate out of that so that you could get again back reset once again on track to being on that path that God would want you to be on? What did that process look like for you?
I need to take it back for a second because I
Okay.
want to remember we talked about the childhood life and growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to the bullying. Like I had said, the addiction to the streets was
Mm-hmm.
kind of already there before I went through this, but I got stabbed at 16. I got 260 stitches across my face by a girl with a butcher knife that was considered to
Oh.
be my friend. And that really caused me to lose hope, to lose my mind, to lose, like, I was so numb. Like, I felt like less than nothing after that. So that really pushed me into the streets because now I need to learn how to be a killer. Now I need to learn how to, because like I said, I went to church Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I didn't know nothing about being evil to people. I only knew how to be a worshiper. I only knew how to be a good person. When I went to school, I always fought. I fought everybody because they always wanted to fight me. But I never was the aggressive type. I never was the one who initiated the fight. I was always the one being attacked. And it was because my mouth, they say. It could be a gift and a curse, I guess. But that's what really caused me to go down a long, long road of destruction because I had completely lost myself. So then, like I said, maybe 10 years, that happened at 16. And then maybe after, I want to say about 12 years of going through that,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I reached the point. I had my second baby, and I knew that it was time to sit down. I went and got my GED. I went and got my first apartment. I went, but I was running. I still was on the run from some stuff that I had did in my past. So like I went to jail, I came home, I got married, boom. Now we at the marriage. Um, I got out of jail Tuesday, December 11th to be exact. I'll never forget. I was so happy. And by that Thursday, he had then gave me the money for an apartment. And Lord knows I didn't want to go back to my mama house because my mama had got old and the house was kind of abandoned and I just didn't want to be there. I wasn't happy there. And it was like I couldn't really have company. I couldn't have male friends over. Like my mama was super strict and it was like I just didn't want to be there, especially now with two kids. So he rolled out the red carpet. And it made it real hard for me to leave him because I was dependent on him financially. Because where was I going with two, now three babies? Because I had his baby with as a 4-time, 5-time felon, 13 misdemeanors, and a lady. So it was like, is it I go back to who I was or I try to work this out? Because this is something that I always wanted. This is who I love anyway. And I chose to try to work it out. And I just kept praying and asking God to change him and make it better. And he did, but it was too late for me. And like I said, it's something about when God chooses you to go through some things because I believe I was chosen in the womb to go through what I had to go through. I believe that God allowed a lot of things to happen just like he did with Jesus, just like he did with a lot of the prophets, because it's all for a greater purpose and a plan. And I didn't know why I was adopted. I thought it was a bad thing, but once I look at my mama, my biological mother, and her life and what she's going through right now, she just had both of her legs amputated. And I look at my life and all that I've been through, and I've been through probably 10 times worse of stuff than her. And God has kept me. Not to say that things don't happen, but I think the only difference was is I knew how to pray. I knew how to call on
Mm.
Jesus. I knew I had a savior. And by me being adopted and placed in that home, that's how I learned that. So that was like one of the things I learned as I sat down doing my healing process, because that's not something I understood back then. That's not something that I felt like I was willing to even accept, but it all makes sense now, that it's a blessing to be able to have a savior that's why I go when times get hard. I have to run to him. I go through what I go through naturally first. We're gonna scream, holler, cry, call people,
Mhm.
might have a drink, might smoke, might do a lot of things. But when all that wear off, you're back up against the wall. I got to call on him. I got to go to him, and he gonna direct my paths. He give me peace. And after 9 years, first I snapped. I left on a suicidal note, like, just gonna kill me. Cause I'm tired. Like I don't care. And I was doing things that could have got me killed because I didn't care no more. And instead of me um like leaving the way I was really like in like doing I had snapped back to the old me, put it like that. Like how I used to behave back then, I went back to that person. And I was losing myself again because I just couldn't live like that no more. And I ended up praying to ask God to give me peace, and He did. And He changed him. Well, He never put His hands on me again, but I just couldn't do it no more. And I went my way, and
Wow.
He went his. And I had to allow him to be happy with somebody else while I be alone. And I had to be okay with that. And at first, that might sound crazy, but it was like God had already showed me that this was going to happen before it happened. So when He came out with the girl, I'm
Mhm.
like, yes, thank you. But at the same time, it hurt it because it was me who prayed for him. It was me who put him in church and helped him get baptized. It was me who helped him change. Now somebody else could reap the benefits of it, but I just gotta trust that God got a plan. I can't live in somebody else's shadow. I
Mhm.
can't. God started opening up doors and making a way that I was able to provide for me and my children myself. So once I was learned how I planned my way out, I prayed about it and I made it out. I'm here to tell the story.
Wow, wow. Uh, so many gems that you're dropping as you're sharing your story. Of course, one thing I love how you pointed out how you found it in your heart to try to encourage, in this case, encourage your abuser. A lot of people have a hard time grasping the idea of showing love towards someone who's not showing love towards you. Like I said, you went through physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse from the man who was supposed to be your husband. But yet, even as you were experiencing all of that, you were trying, not only were you praying for him, but you were trying to help him build his relationship with Christ. As you shared, getting him baptized, getting him to understand that there's a better way to do this. Now, yeah, you were hoping that in the midst of all of that, that it would also benefit you in terms of not being physically or mentally or emotionally abused anymore. But it's still there's still value because that's you in your own way saying, while I don't condone your behavior, I love to you enough to where I care about your soul. I'm concerned about what does life look like for you moving forward. And so that, again, that speaks volumes about who you are. And for my listeners, you got to understand that in God's word it talks about that we don't get the opportunity to just love the people who are nice to us, our friends, that we're supposed to also love our enemies. And what you just shared is an expression of what that looks like, to pray for your enemies, to want the best for your enemies. You had every reason in the world, if we look at it from a worldly perspective, to hate, to wish nothing but harm and ruin over the person, but you didn't do that. And God blesses that. When you can be a bigger person in that regard and do things in alignment with the way he would want you to do, that is powerful, and he does not forget that. He blesses that. And then the other thing too is, in the sharing of your story, we have this parallel where every time you were trying to seek acceptance, trying to seek love, um, and you were doing it outside of God, things didn't play out the way that they needed to play out. But
Exactly.
when you
Yes.
s- but when you sought after Him, He was always there. Okay, it was almost like you talked about earlier, where you said, sometimes God will allow you to go through stuff, and that is absolutely true.
Mhm.
He will allow us to go through those storms, not because He's trying to harm us, not because He wants to
Yeah.
destroy you, but He has to let you endure and go through some of this stuff, because it helps you to gain an understanding that you trying to seek your own path on your own is not going to be the same when you seek that same path by depending upon Him and letting Him guide your steps. And once you came to that realization that this was the way to go, then that's when God was, again, He was right there waiting for you all along. Said, okay,
Mhm.
Charity, you ready to grab my hand and walk with me? And once you ready to get back over here, are you tired of doing it your way? Because you can see
Mhm.
your way is not working. But I love you
Exactly.
enough that even with all the mistakes, even with all the missteps, I still love you enough to where I'm gonna be here for you, and I'm gonna help you overcome this. And look what He's done. He's allowed you to survive all of this trauma, all of this craziness that you had to deal with, and here you are today, an author, telling your story, having gone through what
Yes.
you've gone
Look
through,
at God. Won't He do
you
it?
know, and like we talked about
Yes.
earlier, it doesn't make sense in the moment that you're going through it.
Mm-mm.
But had you not gone through what you've gone through, you wouldn't have been able to write that book. You wouldn't be able to be on platforms like this and the many others that you already have been on and will be on, to share your story, to be a blessing to people who are going through some of that same stuff right now, because they can relate to you now. You're relatable because, oh, well, Charity's just not, giving us the book answers to life. She's been through some stuff. She's been there. She's done that. She's been at that rock bottom moment. But
Yes.
all through it all, at the end of the day, she clinged to God. She understood that ultimately it was that relationship that was going to get her to that survival, to that overcoming, to that being able to get through the most darkest and in treacherous treacherous times of your life. God allowed you to be able to get through that stuff, but you had to cling to Him. You had to seek Him in order
Yes.
for that to happen. So I'm glad that you are highlighting that in the sharing of your story, because I know for a fact we're gonna have people that are tuning into this, and they're in that rut, and they keep trying to fix it themselves. They keep trying to fix themselves,
Yeah, and
and
don't
you
get me
the
like times where I really hated him. And it was times
mm-hmm,
where I thought of the worst. But then I always thought back, so what's gonna happen to
mm-hmm,
me? And
right,
I think I was convicted in those moments. And like it's a lot of people that did bad things for me. And I really don't know how to hate people. I guess God gave me a heart after his own because
mm-hmm,
I could hate you for a little while. I could try to force myself and talk to myself about it. But at the end of the day, like I really can't. And if you need
mm-hmm,
me, I'll be trying to be there. I don't know. He just made me different, and I just really learned a lot when I did was when I did make it out and was able to sit back and reflect on it all, and it just
mm-hmm.
makes so much more sense to me now. It didn't make sense to me then, but it makes sense to me now.
Absolutely. And I think, and one other thing that I want to point out before we move forward, your story is an example of us understanding that spiritual warfare is real.
Right?
If
Yes,
if people are denying what
yes,
spiritual warfare is, that it's some kind of make believe thing, you better believe that this is a real thing. Because again, I go back to you saying your initial coming up is, I spent 6 7 days a week in church. Church was being driven into me. Having that relationship with God is being driven into me. And what you got to understand, if the foundation is being laid for you to have a relationship with God, you better believe that the enemy is not pleased with that,
mm,
especially with you embracing that relationship at such a young age. So what better for the enemy to do to try to infiltrate that, by to try to tempt you with other things, in this case the street life, to make
yes,
you feel like you were missing something,
yes.
that you were lacking in some way, that you don't, let go of all this church stuff. It's a street out there. You
Mm,
missing all the fun, all the excitement, the rush.
You
and
not
and,
cool.
and you're not cool. That's why you're
Yeah.
getting bullied because you ain't out
Yeah. You
here
so
doing your
lame.
thing.
You gotta get out there
You
and do
know,
what they doing.
you got to do out
Yeah.
there, and this is what the enemy is good at. And if we're all being honest, sometimes we take the bait, and
He's
we
a
take the bait, and we
liar.
get a taste of it because he's
Yeah.
deceiving us. He's lying to us.
Yes, he's
He's
definitely
painting this
deceiving.
picture that
Hmm.
is better over here than what you got
Yes.
going over there. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, when we take that bite, we get a
You
taste
gotta
of it,
deal with it.
and we get
Yeah.
caught up, and before we know it, we're so intertwined into the moment and the excitement and the hype of it that we don't
Mhm.
realize that we've stepped into a dangerous space, and we have
Yes.
to go through those bumps and bruises. And now God is watching all of this, and there might be those who are saying, well, why wouldn't God stop it? Well,
Yeah.
sometimes he has again, God is in his infinite wisdom, he has to allow us from time to time to go through. He got to allow us to, in other words, like I like to say, sometimes you got to allow us to bump our head. You got to let us
Yeah.
bump that head, let you see what it's like over here.
Hmm.
Not because he's condoning the behavior, but you need to understand, what does life look like without him versus what does it look like with him. And once you go through that and you realize, okay, you know what, this is not the way I thought that this was supposed to play out, you know.
Sometimes, like Job didn't even do nothing for
Mm-hmm.
him to have. God chose him to go through that. Joseph didn't even do nothing. God chose him to go through that. Sometimes you're just one of God chose Jesus to go through that. Sometimes when you're a chosen one, it's just that he
Mm-hmm.
got his hands on your life. It's a covering over you, and you may go through it. The Daniel boys, they was in the fire, but they didn't burn.
Mm-hmm.
You will go through it, but you won't come out smelling like the smoke.
Yep.
So sometimes his greatest miracles are proven, his work, his glory is proven through some of the worst struggles. That's how
Yes.
he's able to show you who he is. Because when I
Yes.
am weak, he is perfect strength, and he will renew your strength. And that's and I look at other people that have been through probably not even half of the stuff I've been through, and they cracking up like crackers. And the only thing I know that's different for me between me and them is I know how to go before the throne. I
Mm-hmm.
know how to call on Jesus. I know how to humble myself and pray. I don't never think that oh yeah, I went through all this. Forget God. No, I need you. Please help me. Because I know the devil don't just want to bump my head or cut me or hurt my feelings or
Mm-hmm.
make me cry or attack my man. That's not all he wants. He wants to kill me. The devil
Mm-hmm.
comes to kill, steal, and destroy. He wants your soul. So
Yep.
anytime you going through these things and you don't die, oh, that's a miracle. That's a blessing. That's something that's worth of praise right there because he really wants to kill you. So you can't always, you have to change your perspective. And in the moment when you're going through those things, but it's a journey. You just gotta
Mm-hmm.
keep running. You can't give
Yep.
up. You gotta keep running. You gotta keep seeing yourself out. Just keep having hope. And I believe that as long as I had God, I always believed that He was gonna bring me through it. And by me I got that prophecy before anything bad had ever happened to me. I think he prophesied to me September 6th. And September 14th, I got my head busted by the boy for the first time. I was 14 years old. I had never been through nothing. And he told me, he said, you gonna make it. You gonna make it. I don't care what you're going through. And he told me, keep turning. My life was gonna change. He told me so many things that when I was going through it, I could only hear him. Them nights I wanted to slit my wrist or kill myself, I kept hearing him say, you gonna make it. You gonna make it.
Mm.
And it was like that gave me hope because he sent me a word, before I went through it. So he didn't allow me to just go through that without him, because warning always come before destruction. And I think that's what gave me hope.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, thank you with your transparency here. You're blessing some people tonight, so thank you for that. Um, so obviously you've shared some very heavy stuff, some very trying storms, and yes, those type of things can happen to any of us, But when we're dealing with storms, sometimes they're heavy like that, and then sometimes it's just the regular day to day nuances, life just life and type stuff. What I'm curious to know from you is, when you do find yourself facing challenging times, regardless of the level of intensity or whatever that it has to it, what is it that you generally like to do that kind of works best for you when if this was just one of these days and I'm facing a challenge, something's come across my path, it's on my plate today. what do you like to do that kind of works best for you to keep a focused mind as you process through dealing with whatever that particular challenge is for the day? What is it that works best for you in those situations?
If I'm being 100% transparent, I don't want to just skip over this part because we're
Mhm.
first natural, then spiritual. But I'm gonna cry it out. Like
Mhm.
I set a time out to like. I don't try to act like things not bothering me. I don't try to act like, oh, I'm strong, I could do this, because that'll break. That causes disease on the inside of your body. So me personally, I'm gonna allow myself to go through it when like I've been going through it this year, and because I've been going through some stuff this year back to back to back to back to back, and it's like boom 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 boom, like he doing me like this right now. I'm
Mhm.
fighting back with my head down. I don't even want to look up. I got my head down, and it's like he dragging me a little bit, but I know that victory belongs to Jesus. But first, naturally, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna call some people because I believe support is very it's needed. Helps you get a different perspective sometimes, just try to find some healthy support people. Some people sometimes just need somebody to just listen and get it off my chest. Yeah, I like to journal. Um some things you can't say to people. And then I believe in the power of writing things down because he said, write the vision and make it plain, and those that see it
Mhm.
gonna run. So I will just return my situation around. If I'm broke, I'm gonna be like, I'm rich because I'm not gonna write down I'm broke. I'm gonna
Mhm.
turn everything around and I'm gonna rewrite this day as if it never happened. Um, I like to do a lot of self care. I take like bubble baths. Um, I like to do I love music. So while I'm going through my crying sessions, whatever I'm going through at the moment, I'm gonna find me some songs that feel how I feel and understand what I'm feeling, so I could get all them feelings up out of me. That's like part of my process. And then after that, I guess the devil then beat me on down to the floor and there's nothing left. I'm gonna cut on that praise and worship because that's the only thing gonna rebuild my spirits. I like to listen to Pastor Hannah. I like to listen to Pastor Smokey Norfolk. I like to listen to Pastor Sarah Jakes. I love Bishop T.D. Jakes, Clef Dollar, Bill Winston. I haven't listened to Bill Winston in a long time, but I love to listen to the word, and sometimes like they feeling directly to me, and the deliverance of the tears that I cry during the service kind of sets me free. It uplifts the burdens up off of me. I might go in the service, even if I'm watching it on YouTube on a Tuesday night, and this service happened Sunday. I could feel the same thing they felt Sunday right here in my living room or my bedroom or wherever I'm at. And I'm going to cry and I'm going to praise them, and usually that's where the deliverance comes from. That's usually when the heavy load is lifted. That's usually where I find my strength to move on. Cause there are times where I might not go there first. I might want to go to the bar, have a drink, have me a margarita or something. I might want to go out. Listen, I might want to go do with all the toxic stuff. But it's only when I go in and I start doing the yoga stretching, going to the gym, the bubble bath, the skincare routines, the audios, listening to the word, the praise and worship. I feel like that's where my strength come from. Because once I go there, the burden is lifted and it gets lighter and I get hope. And I feel like I could just get through another moment, another day. And it helps me to see my problems differently now. But you just got to go through the process. You got to go through the motions. You have to go through the
Mhm.
motions. And I always say first naturally, then spiritually, because I have like anxiety. I'm very impulsive. So I have to calm that part of myself down sometimes first,
Mhm.
because I will just react without thinking, and sometimes I have to just, bring myself down. But I've been learning healthy habits now because I used to just drink and smoke to numb myself. But what I realize is even if you stop tomorrow, all that pain gonna be there. And now you done poisoned yourself and the pain's still there. So now you just broke all the way down, soul empty,
Mhm.
because 9 times out of 10, when you down, it's just your soul is hungry. It needs to be fed. It needs the word. It needs to be strengthened. And only
Mhm.
the presence of the Holy Spirit can do that. So yeah, so I found my peace at.
Love that. Love that. And I appreciate how you pointed out how, again, that human element. it is so important that you're going through a challenging time that um, you give yourself permission to release.
Praise.
So you
Yeah.
talked about, hey, I cried out. Nothing wrong with that. That is not, I don't care if you're female or male, that does not make you weak to purge that out. Sometimes you got to cry it out. Sometimes you got to punch a bag. Sometimes you got to scream out loud. Whatever it is,
Run.
you
Yes.
gotta go run.
Mm.
Take a long walk. You got to do something to get this whatever
That
feeling that you
energy
got
out for
going
you.
on, because
Hmm.
now once I cleanse myself of that, now if I'm going to go ahead and seek God as I should be, I can now hear him. I can take in what he has for me. But if I'm still all bottled up with what basically is in essence is an emotional or mental poison inside of me because I haven't released it out, I haven't purged it out, then I'm not going to be able to hear from God because I'm too caught up in my feelings. And so I love that you point out that that it's okay, and that you're being transparent and saying this is what I do. I purge it out. And also I love the fact that you pointed out that while sometimes in the midst of a stressful moment we might partake in a glass of something or whatever, you're acknowledging the fact that, and I love that you point that out because yeah, it might make me feel good. It might numb me in that moment, but it doesn't feel me the way I need to be felt. I need God's presence. I need that presence of the Holy Spirit to kind of
Mm.
help cleanse me out. Yeah, again, we do. It's kind of human nature for a lot of us, if we being real, that we'll get caught up in, let me drink on something, let me smoke on something, let me do this to make me forget about it. But when that high comes down, the problem is still there.
And you
You don't
might
have a
feel even
resolution.
worse.
And like you said, and then all I've done is put more poison inside of me. And that's not a knock to tell people that drinking is horrible or anything. I'm not suggesting per se that, but it's just, it's about perspective. It's about looking
It's
at it
just
the
not
right
gonna
way.
it's not gonna help you heal. it
Right. It's
it
not going to
may
help you
help you
heal.
through that moment, but it's not gonna
Hmm.
help you get through that entire situation. It helps because a lot of people like, how did you make it through all of that? How people treated you, how did you make it through that? And I ain't gonna lie, back then I was high as ever, like half of the time I didn't even remember. So certain things bring you through certain moments, but what I'm saying is you're not gonna feel, it's not gonna uplift the burden up off of you. You know what I'm saying? If
Hmm.
anything, it might put you in some more situations that you probably shouldn't be in. It might bring on more
Exactly.
trouble, like even cancer to your body, or you getting arguments with other people. It starts coming out in other ways. It's just a toxic way. I'm not gonna say that it don't
Hmm.
work because it does. It's just toxic and it causes more problems when this over here. That's why I'm saying it's okay. I'm not to judge. I'm not gonna say what's okay and what's not because it's not.
Hmm.
But that's what I do. Like I have to deal with my emotional self first. Like I have to deal with myself naturally first. And my natural way was to be that first, like do a little indulging just to calm me down at that moment. But I know where I'm gonna get my peace from. I know where I'm going to immediately after. Sometimes that's just a coping mechanism through life because
Hmm.
I don't see where it said don't drink, it said don't get drunk though.
Right.
So
Right.
I feel like
Hmm.
it's not what you do, it's how you do it. Back then I may have abused it, but it may have worked for me in that moment, you know? In this moment as I'm growing and I'm healing and I'm trying to get better, I don't feel like that's something that I would want to indulge in. I want to learn how to deal with my pain healthy, you know.
Hmm.
And if we have to seek therapists to get some type of anxiety, because that was always the biggest fear, man. I didn't want to take medications. No, I rather listen. I can do myself. I know I can smoke a little weed. I'm gonna be okay. I don't have to do that. Because
Right.
I didn't want to be addicted to prescription drugs and things like that.
Hmm.
But I believe now as I'm older that it's okay. It's
I
okay
love
to
that.
be to go see a therapist. It's okay to have a psychiatrist. It's okay to have a counselor. It's okay for them to help you um manage those feelings and those emotions because mental illness is real.
Yes,
So
yes, it
there's
is.
something that if there's a way that you can help yourself manage that, I highly suggest that. Because a man is a terrible thing to waste.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I love that growth process that you're speaking to. I mean, that's beautiful. And again, to my listeners, tap into that. It's a process, and it's okay that if you started off doing things maybe in a toxic kind of way to numb the pain and all that, but once you, like you said, over time you understand that this is not working for me, that this is not going to
Mhm.
heal me, this is not the long term solution, and again, making that connection back to what would God say about this? Am I in alignment with how He wants me to process these difficult moments? And so appreciate the journey, gravitate to the growth of it all. Don't feel
Trust them.
like you got to figure it out overnight, because it's not going to happen like that. But you want to be heading in the right direction. And as you do more of that, that becomes your new norm. Then the way you approach your challenging situations is going to be completely different. The outcome is going to be completely different. The way you feel about it is going to be completely different than what it was prior to, when all you did was rely upon just toxic outlets to either numb the pain or to just navigate your way through these challenging times. So thank you again, so much for sharing that. So we're here with the Blessings in the Streets podcast with our special guest, Charity Dunn. She is having some momentary technical issues, so we're going to get her back on board with us so we can continue along with our interview. Yeah, Charity is back with us. All
Sorry,
right,
thank
no
you.
problem, no problem. So Charity, if you had the opportunity to speak to the younger Charity, when you think back on all that you've been through, experienced, good, bad, or otherwise, if you could talk to her and give her some words of encouragement that you wish that, had she known some of these things that you're about to share, you think that not so much that she wouldn't have had challenges or storms, but that she would have been able to navigate through them a little bit more in a more healthy way, a more positive means, a manner, if you will, as well as those who are tuning in. There's some people who are tuning in right now, both men and women, who are going through some stuff. They are dealing with some of the very things that you've talked about, and they don't see a way out. And they're listening tonight, hoping to get some encouragement, hoping to get some words of inspiration, some guidance, some direction, if you will, from somebody who's been in that situation before. What would be that message that you would have for either younger Charity and or those who are tuning in that are just kind of stuck in some of those situations that you had to battle through and have now been delivered from?
Oh my God, I got tears in my eyes. What would I say to little Charity? Oh my God. You are loved. You are special. You are beautiful. You are capable. You are unique. You are strong. Your life matters. You are important. You are here for a reason. Choose life. Love yourself. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You're going to be okay. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Don't give up. Keep going. You can do it. I love you. Mwah. I will
Love
tell
that.
me that. So I will tell me that every day.
Love that. So important.
And I will tell all my listeners that, all of our listeners that as well. I want them to know that too, that they are loved. They are special. Their life matters. You gonna make it. You're important. You're here for a reason. Live in your truth. Love yourself and keep going. Don't give up. Choose life. Speak life. Live life.
I love that. Love that.
Thank you.
Because so many people need to hear that. They don't understand their value, their worth. When God created you, that means that you matter in a way that is beyond words. I mean, His love for you is unconditional, and I know that there might be some times where you feel like you're out here by yourself, that you left hanging in the wind, that you've been abandoned, but you have not. God
Mhm.
is God has created you to be something special and unique to who you are. And
Yeah.
the sooner you embrace that and understand that, even in the midst of those challenging times, you're going to know that, hey, God had to first give that storm permission to even come my way. And so
Yeah.
because He loves me, if He's letting it come my way, it's either to bless me or to equip me to be a blessing. In either scenario, it's a win-win. So I'm gonna be all right. And again, I need to embrace my worth, my value. I come from a line of royalty. If you're a child of God, you come from a royalty line. That means you are a king. That means you are a queen. You are special. You got it going on, and you need to understand your worth, your value, and as Charity said, choose life, speak life into everything that you do. Again, dependent upon God, allowing Him to guide your steps, and just watch how amazingly things play out. Even your darkest moments, watch how God can just move in those situations in a way that people won't be able to label it as luck.
Eat
They
and
won't be
live.
able to label it as, oh,
Never.
you just got to hook up. No, I got a
Yes.
God who loves me, who I matter to, who I mean so much to. And again, all of the things that we go through, all the encounters that we have, it's for a reason. It's setting us up for that ultimate walk in our purpose. Everything that Charity has shared tonight, she had to endure, she had to go through to get to this point that she's at right now, walking
Yeah.
in her purpose, sharing her story, sharing her journey, wanting to give others hope, wanting to give others encouragement, empowering others, and inspiring others. But you have to go through some stuff. You got to be battle tested. You got to, and when you're a follower of Christ, that target on your back gets even larger. So we're not going to tell you that, give you this fake narrative that the life is just perfectly smooth and there's no troubles, no challenges, no, that's not. But the difference is who you're walking through it all with. Instead of you doing it solo, you got God with you. There's nothing that's too big for you to be able to overcome. And Charity is a
Yeah.
perfect example of what that looks like. And so
Mhm.
that's what makes everything that she shared tonight so powerful, so special. And again, Charity, I'm so thankful that we were able to make this happen, and that you've been so generous and
So bad.
open and transparent and sharing as you have. Because, like I said, like I expected at the top of the broadcast, and you did not disappoint. You have been a blessing to me. You've been a blessing to my listeners, and in the sharing of what is otherwise a phenomenal story of resilience, courage, strength. You represent all of that, and I'm sure you're giving our listeners some hope, especially those who are going through some difficult and challenging times right now, that they might have not seen a way out of it at the beginning, but you've
Mhm.
given them some light at the end of the tunnel to give them that hope that there is a way out, that this does not have to be the defining moment as being the ending of their story, that there's so much more to the
Yeah.
storyline. There's so much more to be unraveled, to be revealed. So again, I thank you so much for that. But as is customary here on the Blessings in the Streets podcast, before I let you go, I do want to give you an opportunity, or I should say, I want to take the opportunity to celebrate you, to love on you, to acknowledge you. So if you got anything that's going on right now or coming up down the road, um, professionally and or personally, that we need to know about, that we can celebrate, that we can acknowledge, that we can support and be a part of, please tell us what can we expect out of Charity moving forward, that we need to be knowing about, we need to be getting the hook up on, we need to be getting connected with. What we got going on that you can tell us about, that we can celebrate.
Okay, so first of all, let's celebrate 1 year of a gift of a curse being
All
out.
right, all right. Yes, yes,
February
yes.
28th. Well, I really dropped it on the 29th. It'll be 1 year. You can find a gift of a curse on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, Target. Just go ahead and Google a gift of a curse by Charity Dunn. It will show you so many retailers all across the world, it's all out of the country. It's available everywhere in the UK, Canada, all across the globe. So go ahead and check this out if you're looking for some inspiration, looking for a good read, you're looking for some power. Go ahead and check out a gift of a curse. Also, on April 12th, which will be my 39th birthday, I will be dropping Healing the Broken Heart, Finding Peace After Trauma. We know that it's a process. We know that it's work that must be put in. It just doesn't happen overnight. We have to continually work on ourselves. So I want to drop a book that will help you get to the next level. Things that I'm doing currently at this moment and have to continue to do to get to where God is calling us to be. So I want y'all to I'm gonna have that available on March 1st. That's the goal for pre-order, y'all. So stay tuned, stay with me. Follow me on Facebook, Charity Dunn. I am Charity Dunn on YouTube. I think it's I am Charity Dunn on YouTube. On TikTok, I am Charity Dunn. On Instagram, it is I am Charity Dunn as well. So you guys go ahead, Google me, Charity Dunn or Charity Dunson, and you guys will be able to locate me everywhere. And I just want to leave this with you all. If you ain't saved, you better get saved. Jesus is
Mm.
on his way back. And in this day and age, at this time, if y'all don't see what's all going around, and it's a reason why social media is available for you all to see what's going on in the world today, there's a war going on, and it's not against flesh and blood. This is a spiritual warfare. So if you don't have Jesus and you don't know him as your Lord and Savior, just close your eyes, say it with me. I believe that Jesus died, I believe he rose, and now you are saved. And I want to welcome you to the kingdom. And I want to thank you so much for this opportunity to share this with you all.
Love that. Love that. So there you
Thank you.
have it. She's told you about her book. She's told you how to follow her so you can keep track of what she's got going on. So I encourage you to support her. Stay connected with her. Keep on, keep your tabs on her because she's doing some great things and God's favor is all over her. And I pray nothing but that continues to be for you in every aspect of your life, that God's favor is continued to cover you, to protect you, to bless you,
Yeah.
and just to keep you locked in and focused on doing the work that he would have for you to do, walking in your purpose, operating in a way that you were created uniquely as Charity to be. And
Mhm.
I'm so appreciative of you being a part of our podcast this evening. And for my listeners, if you've enjoyed our show, you enjoy what we're doing here, remember to share, subscribe, like, comment, because this is what the Blessings in the Streets podcast is all about. We want to encourage, we want to empower, we want to uplift. And if you're looking for a little motivation, inspiration, Charity is sharing some things with you. And also, of course, I got a new book myself,
All
Blessings in the
right.
Streets Special Edition. So come cop that. You can go on
That's what's
Amazon
up.
as well.
Congratulations.
So
Yes.
we're trying to walk in the way that
Yes.
God would have
We
us. We're not
doing it.
here. We're doing it. We're not trying to
If
say that we're
anybody is
perfect,
interested in helping me drop this movie, come help me. Because I
baby.
want to turn this into a
We want.
movie.
There we go. Speaking that into existence. I'm with you on that same thing. We want to.
Yes.
We trying to write. We trying to drop movies. We trying to do it all. We want to reach as many people as we possibly can, allowing God to use us in whatever way He sees fit to use us. And as Charity stated, if you don't currently have a relationship with God, today is a mighty fine day to make that decision
Yeah.
because it'll
Don't.
definitely be the greatest decision that you will ever make. And we're not telling you something that we
Absolutely.
heard. We're telling you something that we know from personal, firsthand experience. Again, He loves you unconditionally, wants nothing but the best for you, wants you to be dependent upon Him, to give you that strength, to give you that courage. You can lay those burdens of your life on His lap, and He will gracefully take them on for you and give you that rock solid promise in return that everything is going to be all right in His perfect way, in His perfect will, in His perfect timing. So don't miss out on that opportunity. Again, it'll be the greatest decision that you've ever made. And so, with
Absolutely.
that said, remember here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is the place where your story is your glory, where your relationships are relevant, and your journey is your joy. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and I thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, you keep fighting that good fight. Hang in there. Choose life. Speak life into your existence. Embrace those storms because they're not negative events. They're opportunities for you to grow, for you to develop, for you to become a better version of yourself. Embrace them, take them on, but don't do it by yourself. You got a God who will walk through those storms with you, and in the end, you can have that confidence and that assurance that you'll still be standing upright, stronger, better, and wiser than what you were even before that storm began. Nothing is too big for Him. So
Yes.
until next time, you take care of yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you at our next show. Have a great rest of your evening.